So this is the solution for Model 4 Challenge Lab. That is creating a dynamic website for the cafe. Let me click on this. Creating a dynamic website for the cafe. So the scenario is after the cafe launched the first version of their website, customers told the cafe staff how nice the website looks. However, in addition to the praise, customers often asked whether they could place online orders. So Sophia, Nickel, Frank, and Martha discussed the situation. They agreed that their business strategy and decisions should focus on delighting their customers and providing them with the best possible cafe experience. So the objective of this lab is we will deploy an application on Amazon EC2 instance, and then the application will enable the cafe to accept online orders. After testing that the application works as intended in the first AWS region, we will then create an Amazon AMI from the EC2 instance. Then we will also deploy a second instance of the same application as the production environment in another AWS region. So after completing this lab, we should be able to connect to the AWS Cloud9 IDE on existing EC2 instance and then analyze the EC2 instance environment and confirm web server accessibility. You should be able to also install a web application on EC2 instance that also uses AWS Systems Manager parameter store. After that, you will test the application, the web application, and then we'll create an AMI. We will deploy a second copy of the web application to another AWS region. All right, so to begin with the lab, you click on Start Lab here. I've already started the lab. That's why my time is decreasing here. So I will click on the AWS to open the console and then automatically sign me in. So when this happens, you click here and then close it. Yeah, so after closing it and then clicking on the AWS, it will open it and then automatically sign you in into the AWS management console. So with assignment, okay, so let's uncheck the terminal to see this one very well. Yes, so we've already configured this, the Start Lab panel. Yes, we've already configured that. So let's go straight to the challenge. So a business request for the cafe, that is the first challenge. So preparing an EC2 instance to host a website, that's the first challenge. So the company wants to introduce online ordering for customers and then enable cafe staff to view submitted orders. Their current website architecture, where the website is hosted on Amazon S3, does not support the new business requirement. So in this first part of the lab, we will take on the role of Sophia, and then we will configure an Amazon EC2 instance so that it is ready to host a website for the cafe. So the first task is to analyze the existing EC2 instance. So to do that, we go to the search box next to services and then search for EC2, and then go to the EC2 console, then choose instances. And you should note that the AWS Cloud9 instance is running. Alright, so you go to the console, then click on EC2 instance. Mostly, if the EC2 instance is not showing here, then you will search it here. Alright, so I'll click on the EC2 here, and it will open the EC2 console. And then we are to click on instances. So for the instances, there are two options. You can click on the instances here or the instances running here. Either of them will open the instances running. So I'll click on this one. And then yes, it is true that the AWS Cloud9 IDE instance is running. Yes, it is clear here. Alright, so let me select it. Okay, so the next question is we are to answer questions about the instance. That is from question 1 to question 4. So to do that, we've been asked to go to details and then choose show. So details here and then show. The show is here. And then we scroll down to access the multiple choice question, and it will open a new tab for the questions. So let's answer the question. So is the instance in a public subnet? So to check whether the instance is in a public subnet, you go to networking and then scroll down. Let's drag this one up a bit. And then yes, it is true. The subnet is in a public subnet. Okay, the instance is running in a public subnet. So that's the answer for the first question. Okay, now I'll go back. Then the second question is, does the EC2 instance have an IPv4 public IP address assigned to it? To check that, I'll go up and click on details, and then yes, it is true. The instance is assigned to public IPv4 address as you can see here. So I'll select yes and then submit. I'll go back, and then question 3, what inbound TC ports numbers are open for this instance? So to check that, let's go here and then check security, then scroll down, wait for a while, and then you will see the inbound protocols here. Let's try to refresh the instances here to see. So let's review the options. So TC port 80 only, open to the internet. TC port 22 only, open to the internet. Okay, so we've seen that the ports are either 80 or 22. Alright, so let's check it. And yes, we've seen that it is port 22 and it is assigned to specific IP addresses. So I'll go there, and then TC port is not 80, 22, and then it is open to specific IP addresses. I'll select that one and then submit it. And I'll go back. Then question 4, does the EC2 instance have AWS IAM role associated with it? There are two ways to check this. First, you can go to actions and then security and then IAM role. And then yes, we've seen that there is no IAM role assigned to it. So let me go back to instance and then show the second way to check that. So the second way to check that is to go to the details and then scroll down, and you've seen that there's no IAM role assigned to it. As you can see here, there's no IAM role assigned to it. So the answer for question 4 is no. There's no IAM role associated with the instance. Now we'll go back. So we are to answer up to question 4. So I will close this. Okay, then move on. So we are on task 2, connecting to the IDE on the EC2 instance. So AWS Cloud9 is a service that can run on EC2 instance. Okay, so it provides an integrated development environment, that's IDE, that includes features such as the code editor. So this is the general characteristics of the Cloud9 IDE. So in the search box next to services, I'm asked to search for and then select Cloud9 and then go to the AWS Cloud9 console. And in the environment page, I'll notice the Café web server, which is indicated that the type is an EC2 instance. Now I should choose open. Okay, so I'll go to the management console, and then I can try to duplicate. I can try to duplicate this tab and then open the Cloud9 IDE here. Okay, so that you keep the instances tab here and then the Cloud9 IDE tab here. So I'm going to search for Cloud9 and then open it. So it will open. So they said we should notice that the Café web server environment is running on an EC2 instance. Okay, So with that, I'll wait a while for the Cloud9 environment to open. Okay, yes, it's true. There is a name called Café Web Server, and then the environment type is EC2 instance. So I will select it, and I'm asked to open it. So I'm going to open it in Cloud9. Okay. So what's the next thing to do? You are connected to the AWS Cloud9 IDE that is running on the EC2 instance that you observed earlier. Yes, a batch terminal in the bottom right panel, and then a file name, a file browser in the left panel that shows files in the home. Okay, so we should see all these things, and then a readme file. So let's check it here. And then yes, we've seen the Cloud9 uh, IDE here. Okay, and then yes, we've seen the home. You can see it, right? Home, EC2 user, and then the environment, and then the readme file. Okay, so let's move on to the next task. Task 3, analyzing the LAMP stack environment and confirming that the web server is accessible. So we should recall that the objective of this challenge lab is configure an EC2 instance to host the new dynamic website for the cafe. So in this task, we are going to analyze what is already installed. Okay, so we are to observe the operating system version, whether it is Windows or Linux. We are going to copy this and then paste it in the Cloud9 batch terminal, which is here. So I'm going to go paste it here and then press enter. And then I've seen that I'm using Linux version 5. Alright, so what's the next task? Notice that the output indicates is an Amazon Linux. That's true. And observe the web server database and then PHP details and server state. So in the terminal, we are asked to run this command. So I'll just copy it and then paste it in the Cloud9 batch terminal. Alright, so I'm going to see all these files here. Let's look at the instructions one more. Then the output should show the version of the web server and the database, and also show that they are not currently running. Okay, so let's see if it's, let's click enter. Okay, so yes, you've seen that the database are disabled. Okay, so I think with the next task we will be asked to enable it. Okay, so let's check. Start the web server and the database, and also set them to start automatically. So to set them to start automatically, we are to run this command in the batch terminal. So let's copy everything. Um, let's copy everything. And then paste it in the batch terminal. Okay, so we are going to see that it will be enabled. Okay, click enter, and then you see that they will be enabled. So what's the next task? Configure the EC2 instance so that you can use the AWS Cloud9 editor to edit web server files. So notice that AWS Cloud9 file browser currently does not display the Apache web server default web directory. Okay, so in the terminal we are asked to run these two commands. So let's copy them and then run it in the batch terminal. Then I'll hit enter. Okay, so the next thing to do that, they said, yeah, the first command you run created a symlink from the default AWS Cloud9 editor workspace to this. Okay, so and then the second command changed ownership of the HTML subdirectory. Okay, All right, so the next thing to do is creating a simple test web page. So in the file browser, expand Café web server www and then highlight the HTML directory. Choose file, new file, and then paste this particular line of code there, and then save it. So let's first copy this and then go to the Cloud9 IDE. So we are asked to expand www and then highlight HTML. Then we are going to create a new file and then paste this particular line of code there and then save it as, let's see, and then save it as index.html. Index.html. So let's copy the name and then file, save, and then with the name we are going to name it with the index.html and then save it. Okay, so the next thing to do is make the website accessible from the internet. So in this step, you will need to verify and update the configuration that make the web page which are hosted on the web server accessible from the internet. So we are given two tips. So with the first tip, you have to discover the IPv4 address on the EC2 instance, then try to load it. So the EC2 instance, um, we've seen the IPv4 address here, so we copy it and then paste it in a new tab, then hit enter to see if it will run. Okay, and then the tip 2, to allow, okay, wait, they said does the message that you entered into the index.html load in the browser? So they're asking if we can find this particular message here. No, we are not finding it here. Okay, so tip 2 said to allow inbound HTTP traffic on TCP port 80 from anywhere. So we have to allow this one. So let's go to the instances and then click on security. Yeah, and then scroll down and then click on this security group. Okay, so we are going to edit the inbounds and then add a new rule. Okay, and with the rule we are going to set it to HTTP and then the custom is anywhere. So afterwards we will save the rules. Okay, so let's check if we can find this particular text, the hello from the Café web server in the website now. So let's refresh this, and yes, we are seeing it, hello from the Café web server. We are seeing it here. All right, so let's go on. So with challenge 2, that is new business requirement. So installing a dynamic website application on the EC2 instance. So in the previous challenge, you configured the EC2 instance. You now know that PHP is installed and that the application environment has a running relational database. Also, the environment has a running web server that can be accessed from the internet. Yes, you have the basic setup for hosting a dynamic website for the cafe. So in this second part, you take on the role of Sophia and then install the cafe application on the EC2 instance. So task 4 is to install the Café application. So we are to download and extract the web server application files by running this command in the bash terminal. Okay, so let's copy all these commands. Okay, so I've copied the commands and then I'm going to paste them in the bash terminal. No, I wasn't able to copy them. So I'm going to copy them. Control C, and then I'm going to paste them here. Oh, it didn't copy. Let me copy it again. Um, all this, then copy them, paste them in the batch terminal. Okay, so I've now pasted them, hit enter, and I'm going to see them running here. Okay, so notice how the file browser now shows the three tar.gz files you downloaded. Okay, Café, DB, and setup. Let's see. And now we have yes, Café, DB, and then setup. We have them here. Okay, so copy the Café files over to the web server document root. So in the batch terminal, we are to run this command in the batch terminal. So I'll copy it and then paste it here. Hit enter, and I've seen them here. All right. So observe how the application is designed to work. So open the HTML Café index.php PHP source code in the AWS Cloud9 editor by double clicking it. So in HTML, I'm going to expand HTML here and then expand the Café, and I'm asked to double click on index.php. Okay, so I've done that. So for example, on line 18, you see that the PHP code references a file name get app parameter PHP in line 18. So let me see. In line 18, yes, I've seen the get app parameter.php here. So notice on line 3 of the file that AWS SDK is invoked. And then also on line 10 to 13, the application creates a client. Okay, so they are all here. They are all here. All right. All right. So in the AWS Systems Manager parameter store, configure the application parameter. So we are to run this command in the batch terminal again. So I'll go to the batch terminal and then paste it here. Hit enter. Okay. So I've seen them running here. So the next thing to do is in the AWS Management Console from the Services menu, choose Systems Manager. So I am to search for Systems Manager. Let me use this console. Systems Manager. Okay, so I have Systems Manager here. So I will click on it and then it will open. Okay. So from the panel on the left, choose Parameter Store. So on the Systems Manager console, I'm going to choose Parameter Store under the Application Management. So after choosing it, I have to see all the data for the Café. So they are all here. They are all here. All right. So the Café application's PHP code references these values. Okay. So choose the Café DB password parameter and then copy the value. So we have to copy the password. There is a password there. So I will open the DB password and then scroll down and then copy the password. So for reference's sake, I'm going to open a new notepad, and then paste the password in there. And then paste the password here. Okay, so I will minimize that. And what am I? Okay, what are we to do again? You will see this value in a moment. Yes, we've seen that. Then configure the MySQL database to support the Café application. So back in the Cloud9 batch terminal, we should run this particular command. So you copy this command, then go to the Cloud9 IDE batch terminal and then paste it here. You click enter, and then you have the output there. Okay, so observe the database tables that were created. So to observe that, we are asked to run this particular command in the batch terminal. So I'll paste it here, then hit enter. Okay, so we are asked to enter the password that we just copied. So I'll click here and then copy the password, and then paste it here. Remember that when you paste the password, it's not going to show here. So just hit enter. Yes, so you see them here. Yes, so that is what we are seeing here. So they said you should now see the MySQL prompts, which shows something like this, and that is exactly what we are seeing here. So to observe the content of the database, specifically the tables that support the Café web application, enter the following commands. So to view that, we are to enter this particular commands in the batch terminal and then paste, hit enter, and we've seen them here. Okay, so update the time zone configuration in the PHP. So in the batch terminal, we are to run this particular command in the batch terminal. So you copy it and then run it in the batch terminal, then hit enter. Alright, so we've redirected it. So the first command that you run, this particular command, configure the time zone in the PHP software. So the second command that you run restarted the web server, so that the web server notices the configuration update. Okay, so test whether the Café website is working and can be accessed from the internet. So in the new browser, try to load the application at Café. So here I'm asked to enter /Café to see if I will see the Café website here. And yes, I'm seeing the Café website here, but then I'm not seeing I'm not seeing all the outputs here to order for, let's say, something, right? You see that only the title banner of the website loads, and that is what we found. And then the rest of the web page is not loading correctly. Yes. So resolve an issue with the website. So in this step, you will need to configure out how to make the Café website function correctly. So they've given us some tips. So for tip 1, let's expand it. There is nothing wrong with the PHP code as written. Yes, there is nothing wrong with our PHP code. And then with tip 2, does the web application rely on other services or resources in addition to the web server and the database? Yes, it relies on the EC2 instance. Yes, it relies on the EC2 instance. And then tip 3, go to IAM service and then search for IAM role that is named Café role. So to do that, we have to go to the EC2 instance, and then let's look at what we are. Select the EC2 instance in the Amazon EC2 console and then review the option on the actions menu. Would any of these actions help resolve the issue? Let's check if this action can resolve the issue. So I'll go to the instances, then I'll select this, then go to the action, and then security, then modify IAM role, because initially we found that there is no IAM role attached to it. So we have to attach the IAM role before the Café website can work. So let's update this and then check if the Café website will function correctly. So I'll go back and then refresh this to see if the Café website is working correctly. And yes, it is working correctly here. Yes. So when you think you have fixed the issue, load this. Yes, we've done that. Does it load completely so that you can see the Café menu items? If so, congratulations. Yes. If you still can't solve the issue, you might. So we've done that. Okay, so testing the web application. Let's see if there's something here. No. So testing the web application. So we test by placing an order. So in the browser tab where you have this, we choose menu and then submit at least one order. Okay, so I'll go here and then place an order. So I like donuts a lot, so I will select 3 donuts, and then chocolate chip. I'll select 4. They said at least one, so the 2 is okay. So I'll scroll down and then submit the order. Okay. So okay, they said we should submit the order. Return to the menu page and place another order. Then go to order history. So we should return to the menu page. Should return to the menu page and then place another order. So muffin, let's say 1. Okay, and let's say hot chocolate 2. Then I'll submit the order and then order history. Okay, so I've seen all my order histories here. All right, so we'll move on to challenge 3, new business requirements. That's creating development and production website in different AWS regions. So everyone at the cafe is impressed with the new dynamic website that Sophia created. Customers are delighted that they can now place online orders and schedule dessert items for pickups. Customer satisfaction has increased because of the reduced customer wait times. However, another business requirement emerges. Along with the praise, Martha and Frank would like to have 2 cafe websites. So one website that can be used as a development environment to mock up new features and web designs before they are released to customers. So mostly that's what most shops do. So they have 2 separate regions. So one will show you, and then if they are running maintenance, they'll run the maintenance in another region and then deploy it. So that's how it works. So a separate website that will host the production environment that the customer use. So that is what we are going to do. So Sophia discussed the new requirement with Matthew when he came into the cafe one morning for his cafe. He suggested that ideally the 2 environments would exist in different AWS regions. Such a design would have the added benefit of providing more robust disaster recovery in the unlikely scenarios. Okay, so Sophia is now very busy. As she accomplishes more impressive work, her skills become more in demand. So task 6 is to create an AMI and then launch another EC2 instance. Okay, so because the cafe website already runs well on an existing EC2 instance, Sophia decides to duplicate it by creating an AMI from it. So she will then launch a new instance from the new AMI. So the requirement is that we have to set a static internal host name and then create a new key pair on the EC2 instance. So in the batch terminal, we are asked to run this command, the RSA command. Then we'll go there and then run this command, paste, then hit enter. Okay, so let's see the requirement here. For 2 times that you are prompted for a passphrase, press the enter key. Okay, so let's go back to the batch terminal and then hit the enter and then enter again. Okay, so we've done that. And then to make new key available to SSH utilities in the batch terminal, run the following command. So we are asked to run this particular command in the batch terminal. So you will come and paste it here, then hit enter. Okay, we've done that. So in the AWS Management Console, browse to the EC2 services area and then select instances. So here I'll select instances. Okay, I can refresh the instances here. And then choose action, image and template, and then create an image. So we are asked to create an image. So I'll go to action image and template, and then create an image. Okay, okay. So I've done that. So answering questions about the AMIs. So I will leave that and then answer the rest of the questions. Okay, so let me check. Let's go back to the questions tab. So question 5. When you create an AMI from an instance, will the instance be rebooted? Okay, so let's check the AMI here. Yes, it can be rebooted. Yes, it can be rebooted. So let's check it. Yes, always. Then no, never. You have the option not to reboot, but by default it will be rebooted. Yes, yes. We have the option to uncheck this, but then by default it will reboot it. So the answer is C. Then I will go back. And then question 6. In what ways can you modify the root volume properties when you create an AMI from the instances? In what ways? Let's check. Let's check the AMI. In what ways? Okay, you see that we cannot edit it, right? And then you can change the size and then delete on termination. So let's check. You can edit the size and delete termination, but not the volume type. Yes, yes, you cannot edit the volume type. So the last question is, can you add more volumes to the AMI that we just created? Of course, yes, we can add more volumes. As you can see, yes, you can add more volumes. The answer is yes. I'll click submit, then go back to the questions. So we are done with the questions. So back in the AWS Management Console, in the create image screen, create a new image by using this name, Café server. So I'll copy it and then replace it with the Café name, the image name, sorry. And then after that, I'll choose create image. Or is there any requirement? Yeah, choose create image. So I will create the image here. Then okay, so I'm done creating the image. So the next question is, from the navigation menu, choose AMIs and then wait until the image status becomes available. So on the instance console, I'll choose AMI. I'll scroll down and then choose the AMIs. And then I can drag and then see that it is pending. The status is pending. So I'll wait a while for. Okay, so it is now available. This took like 5 minutes before the status changed to available. All right, so let's look at the next thing to do. You have to copy the AMI ID of the image that we just created, then try to find it in another region. So I will go to AMI and then select this, and go to action, then copy AMI. So I'm going to copy to the Oregon state, Oregon, yeah, and I can choose to copy the tags, right? And then copy AMI. Let's look at the tip 3. Select the AMI you created in the AWS region where you created it. Next, choose the actions menu. Do any of the actions like, okay, so this is what we just did, right? Copy it to the Oregon region. All right. So create the new Café instance from your AMI. So the new instance that you create must match the following criteria. So let's look at, okay, so we've created the AMI. Okay, so let's change the location to Oregon. Oregon is here. All right, and then see if you are going to see the same AMI there. And yes, the AMI is here, right? The AMI is here. Let's say the actions. Okay, so the AMI is here. So let's check the instances and see if it is attached to an instance. And we have the production. Sorry. Okay, it is not attached to any instance here, right? This instance has been terminated. So to do that, we have to launch a new instance. So let's check um, the new instance that you create must match the following criteria. So you have to launch a new instance. So launch instance, and then with the instance name, let's check the name for the instance. Uh, Production Cafe server. Okay, so let's copy that and then replace it in the instance name. Okay, all right. And then with AMI, let me select my AMIs and see owned by me, and then you can see that we have the cafe server. Okay, so that is what we are using. And then they said we should use T2 small, right? T2 small, and then the IAM role should be cafe role. So let's set this to T2 small. T2 small. All right. And then with the key pair name, they said we shouldn't add anything as the key pair name, right? So let's go to that and then select the default and then edit the network settings. So we are going to choose the lab VPC, then the subnet is public subnet, right? And then with the security group, let's look at the requirements for the security group. Um, create a new one named Café SD with TC port 22 open to anywhere. So we should create a new Café SD. So let's see the security group. Okay, the name Café SD. So let's copy this Café SD and then paste it here. Yes. And then they said we should use okay port 22. It is already configured here. Anywhere, right? Sure. So and then set TC port 80 so that it opens anywhere as well. So let's see TC port 80. Uh, Wait, let's see. Create a new security group with TC port 22. So this is TC port. TCP. No, TC port 22. Then the source is anywhere. And then another one, TC port 80. And that one too is what? Anywhere. Anywhere. Alright, great. Alright. So let's look at the next thing to configure. Then proceed without a key pair. Okay, so we should proceed without a key pair. Alright. So we have them here. So we just launch the instance here. Okay, so the instance is launching. So wait for the new instance to have a public DNS value assigned to it, even if the status of the instance is still not available. So copy the public DNS value, you use it soon. Okay, so let's click here. The instance is still launching, so let's wait a while for it to finish launching. Uh, it wouldn't take much time to finish launching. Yes. So you can see it is almost done, and then it is done, right? So let's go to instances, and then you can refresh this to see the new instance. Okay, so it is initializing. Okay, so let's open this to see the public IPv4 DNS, and here is it, right? So what are they requiring us to do? To create the needed AWS Systems Manager parameter in the new region, return to the Cloud9 IDE. Okay, and then open the Café setup parameter sh. So we'll go to setup. Um, we go to setup, we expand setup, and then open this. All right, and then in line 12, uh, edit line 12 of the file to match this setting. So we should change line 12 with this code. So let's copy it, then go there, line 12, then let's replace it with this. Okay, then what else? In line 18, you have to match it with this, but then the public DNS is the one we just copied. Okay, so did we copy it here? Yeah, this one. Okay, so we go here, line 18, and we are going to replace it with this. But then they should be in quotes. Okay, don't forget that, else you will get an error. Yes, and then the line should look like, okay, so yeah, we've seen that here. Okay, you can see the color, the quotation marks here. All right, so go to file and then save, and then run it. So I'll go to file and then save. Sorry, we didn't assign the IAM role. Okay, we didn't assign the IAM role for the Oregon state. So to do that, we will just go to action, then security, modify IAM role. Let's wait how it will open. Yes, and we have to assign it to the Café role. Okay, and then update the IAM role. Yes, so right now everything is set. It is still initializing, right? So we can click this and then check if we have an updated medicine. Okay, so the instance is running, and let's copy the IPv4 DNS address and replace it with the one we have here. Okay, and replace it here. Okay, so after that we'll go to file, save. Okay, so when it is done saving, we'll run it. Okay, so as required. Okay, okay, so in the batch terminal below, you should see the output. Okay, so we've seen the output. So verify the new Café instance. So return to the EC2 console in the Oregon region, and then verify that the new this is running. Let's see if it is running the instance. Okay, yes, it is running. It is running. Okay, so copy the IPv4 address and load it to the web browser. So let's copy the IPv4. Let's click on it and copy the IPv4 IP address and then run it. enter. Let's check. The hello from the cafe server message should display. Let's see. Let's use slash cafe and see. Slash cafe. And yes, we will see the cafe here, right? You see the cafe here. Yes. So as required here. So load the menu, then the menu page should load. Okay. So let's see the menu. And yes, the menu page is loading. And then place an order to verify that the site is working. So let's place an order. Let's place another one and then see if the site is working. Yes, the site is working in the second region. All right. So troubleshoot the tips. Okay, so if the site is not working, then you should consider these guides. Okay, so also if you want to connect to the DVC2 instance in the Oregon state to do some troubleshooting, run this command from the Cloud9 East one. Okay, so you can choose to do that. It is optional though, so you can choose to do that by copying it here, and then you can choose to paste it here, right? Then hit enter. Yes. Okay, so update from the cafe. Sophia is now a hero at the cafe. She created a dynamic website and she also created a duplicate version of the same website that runs in the second AWS region. Okay, so I think we are done. So to submit your work, click submit and then yes, and we are going to see that we get everything correct. All right. Let's wait a while to see the grades. We're going to see our marks for the assignment. So if you like this video, please try to share and then like and then subscribe so that you get subsequent videos. All right, so let's wait for our marks. Yes, it will come. So you can see that we have 30 out of 30. All right, so that is great. So thank you very much